Hello, welcome to Brap Life. My name's Angel. Thank you guys so much for listening week in and week out. It's awesome to hear the feedback on the stories, and I absolutely love getting messages about you guys following along and just like getting excited about different parts of people's stories. So that's really, really cool to me, and just keep the messages coming. I love hearing about it. This week's episode is with Tucker Miller. It's Tobin's younger brother, but Tucker's making a name of his own in hard enduro. He's doing absolutely awesome, and as he said, he's getting mistaken for Tobin less and less. So I think it's really cool to see how far he's come in the last year that I've been watching him. And it was really awesome to hear his version of how he got into riding. We've already heard it from Tobin and Ben, but it's cool to hear it from Tucker himself, and to kind of just hear what's in his future and see what else he's got up his sleeve.
Thank you, first of all, for coming out here. This was really cool to get you to finally come on here. I feel like we talked about this a while back, Matt and I, about getting you on here right after I had Tobin on. And
hmm
that feels like forever ago, but it was like 2 months.
Yeah, a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, it has. So um, let's start at the beginning and then we'll talk about Champion Brick stuff here in a minute. But how did you get started riding and what was your experience with that?
Yeah, so I pretty much the same way Tobin did, and then Tobin and my sister, Kina, was just when I was 3, I was allowed to get a dirt bike, and I had seen Tobin and Kina riding, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that as well. So yeah, I started on a PW. I was hand me down from those two, the same bike. Um, but yeah, I started when I was 3, and then kind of just worked my way up. I had all the 50s. We had all KTM 50s, like the junior and then the senior. And then we started racing. I don't think I really did any of the motocross stuff. I was too young to remember if I did, but I think that was mostly just Tobin. And then we switched in like, I think it was 2014. We started doing the local hair scramble series in Iowa.
Okay.
And I want to say I was 7 or 8, I think, on a 50. But yeah, so we did that. That was our first year. And then from there, I think that first year we really enjoyed it and decided to stick with it. And I got a 65 the next year, which I kind of feel bad because I like begged and begged my dad to get me a KTM 65 because I didn't want Tobin's hand me down Kawasaki. And so he finally broke and got me a KTM. But then, yeah, raced 65s, I think, for 2 years, I want to say. I
Okay.
did 65s. And then I was aged out, or I aged into the 85 group so I could race those. And I got YZ85, I think. And that was my first, like, new bike, I'd say. Um, we got it down in Tennessee, actually, when we were going down to the TKO for like the first year.
Yeah.
My dad found it on Marketplace, and we were headed down there, so we picked that up. It was like 2 hours out of the way or something. And I really wanted to race it there that year, but I was too young. They still had the age limit on it. I think I was 14 or 15
Yeah.
at the time. So yeah, got that. And then that was actually the first bike I did hard enduro on down in Rev Limiter.
Okay.
I Yeah, signed up for that and went down there and raced it.
So how was that experience for you? Was it like super different going from like hair scrambles to hard enduro?
Yeah, I was not prepared at all for it. Um, right off the start that year. Well, actually, I take that back. Um, so the year beforehand in the fall, I went down and raced Red Bull Override, but they had like a kids type hard enduro
Okay.
kind of thing, and so that kind of got me into it. It was a little challenging, and then we watched the night race later on. But yeah, so then the next year The next year we went down to Texas again for the rev limiter. And at the start, I started way in the back where I was like C class, I think.
Yeah.
And uh, what's that?
I said as we do, because we're always in the
Yes.
back.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. Great spot. And then we started at like this, it was giant logs kind of built up. And then on the backside were these big like tires, just like a
Mhm.
mountain downhill.
Yeah.
And I tried to go really fast over it and did not work. I stuck like the whole front end of my bike went into a tire and everybody got around and I had to have the course workers help me get it out.
Oh,
And
no.
then but other than that, I don't really remember a whole lot. We I had a good well actually I had a good race and then it was like a qualifier and I actually qualified to the next race on Saturday. But on my way back from the first one, I was celebrating and I did a wheelie and I punched a hole in my clutch cover. And
Oh
so,
no.
yeah, I had no issues throughout the race. And then as I got back, I did a wheelie and crashed and put my foot, my brake straight through the clutch cover.
Oh no.
So
Oh, that
then
sucks.
instead of racing, well, we JB welded it, but I just passed out on a chair. And did not wake up until they started the next race.
Oh my god.
Uh huh.
That's crazy.
I was so tired.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it
Especially, I mean,
does.
even at that age, like you guys are, it's probably a little bit of a different course, but it's still hard.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It was really technical and tough for me. But yeah, so and then I think the next day we made a weekend out of it and stayed down there and rode some hard stuff, and I really enjoyed it then. And then I think from then on we were kind of back and forth at first through hard enduro and hair scramble stuff, but then
Yeah.
eventually we just went all hard enduro.
Yeah. But you guys typically do like, at least from where my perspective is, that you guys kind of do all the races. Like you
Yeah,
guys just want to be on your bikes all the time, it seems like.
yeah, that's true. I guess yeah. Even yesterday, we went and raced a local hair scramble as well.
Mhm. Which I think is really cool because, yeah, hard enduro might be your passion, but I think being a well-rounded rider in general is really good, and it actually helps like in hard enduro, in my opinion, because being technical is great, but you have to have the ability to be a little faster too. You could be a super technical rider, but if you're not fast at all, you're never going to make it through the sections, like to the next section, and at least to be competitive. So
Yeah, for sure,
I
it
think
does
it's,
help
yeah.
quite a bit. And then there's some races where they're like they have some hard spots for sure, but then most
Mhm.
of it's like hair scramble stuff. Like in the fall series, for me, it
Mhm.
helps a lot to have that hair scramble background.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot faster paced.
Hmm. That's what I've heard a lot of, and this is kind of the controversial opinion. How do you feel about TKO? Do you feel that it's a hard enduro, like a true hard enduro, or do you feel it's more like a hair scramble? Because I've kind of heard both.
Personally, for me, I love it because then I do better there, have better
Mhm.
results. But I would be on the side of it's not really hard enough to be a hard enduro, but at the same time, I feel like would be hard as a promoter to judge because if it rains there, it's like impossible. I've heard it's like so
Mhm.
slick, and
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel like it'd be really hard to make it hard enough, but then if it rains, still have it be possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's crazy to me because like I've walked the course last year. I walked the whole thing several times. And I was just like, there's a couple sections that I was like, I don't know how I would do it. I wouldn't have to do it because I'm not pro class, um but I was walking through with Rachel Gudish, and so I was looking at the pro lines with her.
Mhm.
I was like, this is insane. Um So to me, at my level, it's a hard enduro. But like I said, a lot of people out there were saying, oh, it's not really that hard. It's more like a hare scramble. And so I had a friend who was looking to go from out here, and I told him that. He's like, I thought it was like really, really hard. And I was like, should probably ask somebody who has got more experience than me.
Yeah. I mean, that also saying that made me think, but so for like the like B and C class, it would still be a hard enduro. Like it's a great race for them because they get to like if you qualify, you get to do so much racing, and it's good and difficult for like the lower level riders. And so I feel like they get their money's worth, and it all in all, it's just a great weekend
Yeah.
as well. You get to see a lot of racing, be like right there.
Yeah. Were you were racing last year?
I did race last year,
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
Yeah, I did. I think I
How
made it
was it to be
to.
there with all of the European riders there? Was that
It was
intimidating?
it was a little intimidating, yeah, because on Sunday I was in the same race as them, which was super cool, but also kind of scary. Luckily, they were all ahead of me, and it was just one lap, I think. But yeah, so I
Yeah.
never got in their way or anything.
That would be my greatest fear. It's like getting run over. I mean,
Yes.
it would also be really cool. Be like, oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, you know, Manny
Uh-huh.
Lettenbichler ran over me, but
Yeah.
definitely not something I need to experience though.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys have traveled the country quite a bit to do races.
Hmm.
Where have you not been able to go that you want to go so far?
I'd like to go more. I'd like to do a race in the West Coast. I don't really care where, but that's just we haven't been like for the racing. The farthest west we've gotten is Texas, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't really gotten much further than Iowa that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that would really be really cool to go out to one of those Silver Kings or Donner, whatever.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think it'd be really cool to see you guys at Grinding Stone because I want to see your
Yes.
guys' face when you guys hit those like different features because
Yeah.
there's some gnarly stuff out there.
Yeah, that one actually looks really cool to go to as well.
Yeah, so last year I spent most of my time East Coast, and then this year I've gone to all of the West Coast rounds so far, and it is just the exposure out here is crazy. It
Yeah.
is it's been a lot to get used to riding, and then I've been doing media stuff at the actual hard enduros, and that is just like I don't know. It's just crazy. Like hiking all of that stuff was hard. I can't imagine doing most of it on a bike. Like
Uh-huh.
it was intense. I
Yeah.
had hiked up to this really crazy spot at Grinding Stone, and there wasn't very many like there wasn't a whole lot of area for me to go if a bike came at me. And it was really kind of sketchy, but thankfully nobody just chucked their bikes up there. But it was a pretty like you came up and it was super steep going up, and then you had about 10 to 15 feet of a plateau, and then you drop down a super steep on the other side. So
Wow.
it was intense, but it made for some
Yeah.
really cool pictures, and it was an awesome spot just to see people. You see people down at the bottom, and they're like, you can see they're second guessing it. You could just see the fear on their face, and then they
Uh-huh.
just go for it. And 9 times out of 10, they made it. So there was only a few
Yeah.
people who struggled, and they didn't even struggle that bad. So
Yeah.
that was
It
fun.
looks so I feel like it'd be so different to ride out there with no trees, just all
Yeah,
out in the open.
yeah.
I feel like
I think
coming from the
that's what
East Coast,
gets.
that'd be really weird.
Yeah,
Hmm.
all of my riding experience was pretty much in the woods before that. So I learned in actually in Iowa. Um, that's where I learned how to ride, so trees. And then I went to the East Coast and there's trees. And then all of a sudden you come out here and there's huge hills and you're on the side of mountains in the East Coast, but you don't see it. So you see the trees. The trees are going to save you if you start falling most of the time. And that's not the case out here. It's just, there's a rock way down there that might catch you.
Yeah.
It's just the mental side of it has been really crazy to try and get over. So, like, do you think that you'd just be able to come out and just be totally good with it because of your skill level, or do you think it might kind of get you a little bit?
I think I'd be fine. When we were down in Texas, the override, or not the override, the rev limiter, I felt in some points was kind of like that. You're just kind of out in the open, but I mean, there's still trees around. They weren't very big.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually went down to Texas earlier this year just to go ride. And I don't think there was many trees bigger than like my fist out there. It's all like bushy stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know how different it would really be from that, but yeah, I'd like to try it.
Well, hopefully you guys can get out west because that would be really cool to see you guys out here racing.
Yeah.
It'd be a blast.
Yeah.
So kind of talking along the same lines of that, when you're racing, if you get into a section or you get into something that you get kind of stuck, how do you handle that? Like, do you have, I guess, kind of any tips on how to get through a section mentally? Like, you have to have the skill, of course, but everybody gets stuck at some point. And personally, I find that getting frustrated doesn't make it any easier, but that's just me. So I'm just curious how you feel about it.
Yeah. I'd say if I come to a spot and I get stuck, I like to like take a moment, sit back a little bit, like look around, see where my tire's at, my rear tires, see if I can move it a little bit, like do the most minimal move on my back tire to see if I can get a little more traction. But if not, I most of the times just like try to pick my bike up and put it over the obstacle that is in front of me if I can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just like to take a moment and look, see what I can do, maybe get a little drink of water, take a little break.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. I like that. One of the things that I usually do, and I get stuck a lot, so this happens a lot. I always just remind myself that I do hard things for fun. That's what I just tell myself because
Yeah.
I put myself in this position because I'm dumb and I think that hard things are really fun to do on a bike and I push myself really hard. So I end up in these situations where I'm in the middle of, a mile-long rock garden and I'm falling over like crazy. And that's a lot. I'm a small person, so to be able to have to pick up a full-size bike, like that's it takes a lot out of you. But
Yeah.
like I said, I did it to myself. So I can't get frustrated about it. Like I just have to keep pushing forward. So I find having a positive mindset really helps, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would agree. It does not help to get angry, I don't think.
Yeah. I have seen a few people out there who just like start screaming and yelling and hitting their bike. I watched a guy punch his bike at one point and I was like, what are you doing? Because then like he hurt his hand and then he was mad about that. I was like, okay,
Yeah, I've seen that a
everybody
couple
handles
times.
it. Yeah, everyone handles it totally different. So
Yeah.
As far as the level that you're racing at now, so you're A class. So going from C to where you are now, what has kind of your mindset or training or everything looked like? Like what has the transition looked like for you? Has it been a big change or have you just found that you just naturally improved and everything's pretty much the same?
I'd say the biggest change was from like B class to A class or to double A in like my local stuff. But I feel like that was kind of the time where everything kind of started clicking and like going together, and I just like got faster for hair scramble wise, because
Mhm.
like through C class I didn't really do much training, or I just kind of went out and rode, had fun with it, and I just
Mhm.
naturally got faster. But um I remember there was one time I was in B class, and I'd been riding a lot with Tobin and doing a lot of just riding around here at home, and he was still
Mhm.
at home at that time. And there was one enduro on the local series that we did together, and I was on the same row as him, which was really cool. And
Mhm.
I noticed that I could just like use him as like a little jackrabbit to follow through the woods, and like I just see how long I could stay with him because he was racing, I think, double A at the time, and I was still
Mhm.
back in B class.
Mhm.
And so I just tried to follow him and do like the same things he did through the woods, and it was actually really helpful at that point. And I think I got beat by him by every like in every test by a couple minutes, but they
Yeah.
I still won B class by a good margin. And then I think that helped a lot just following him. And
Yeah.
then like a couple weeks later we had a hair scramble, and he wasn't in front of me, but I think I won B class by like 10 minutes. I just blew them away. And so
Wow.
after that, I actually just decided to go straight to double A class because I think I finished like sixth overall there or
Yeah.
something like that. So skipped A, which now I kind of regret. Not I kind of regret it because I feel like it just forced me to um, progress a little faster when I went to double A class.
Mhm.
I probably should have just gone to A, but yeah.
So you were just like, nah, I'm that much better. Like you felt that much like that good about it.
Yeah, I felt really good about it. And so
That's good though.
I just went to double A, but then I wasn't really seeing the results I was hoping for,
Mhm.
but I was still I was about mid pack in double A when I switched.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't getting like the wins or the top threes or anything, so I was just kind
Mhm.
of a little down on that, I think, in that aspect.
Yeah. That's got to be hard, but at the same time, I mean, you've bumped up such a high level. It's not like you're going up just a little bit.
Yeah,
That's a big jump. So, I think that I mean, even being mid pack and not at the back of the pack, that says a lot.
yeah,
So,
uh-huh.
that's good. And you've been riding really well this year. Um, from everything that I've seen, so far, I haven't seen a whole lot of you falling and being all crazy. Like, there's a couple
Yeah,
videos last year that I was like, ooh,
yeah.
I don't remember.
There
You fell
was
on Nick Farringer, I think.
uh-huh, yep. I
Yeah.
landed right on the back of his bike.
Yeah.
Pretty big line.
Yeah. Which was cool that did it, but it's a little scary watching that video.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Probably a little scary living it, but
I was very
but
lucky to have him there.
haven't seen anything like that so far this year. Everything I've heard and everything I've seen, you've been riding really well. So that's really,
Thank
really
you.
cool to see.
Yeah, I've been trying to ride a little more smart. My dad tells me no more gonzo moves, or just especially when I'm out there in the forest alone, nothing crazy, no big lines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had heard this term Millard uh, last year, and
Huh?
this year I haven't really seen a whole lot of that. It seems to be meaning something else these days. So you
Yeah,
guys have both progressed a lot.
thank you. Yeah. Um, I don't think we've really done any millering this year. I would say. There's been I mean the occasional just like smashing the pipe, but
Yeah,
no, yeah, nothing terrible, I don't think.
that's good.
Hmm.
But I think that since you guys have been on Champion Brick, you guys have really had a lot of drive to progress. And Matt is really good about picking people who have that drive, but also really great at inspiring it, I believe. Um, so I think that he's the best person to be doing this. Like, honestly, he's so great at bringing it all together. And you guys seem to have just fallen naturally into it and just gone with it. So it's really cool to see you guys progressing so quickly. And it might not feel like it on your side, you know. I know that you guys get hard on yourselves, but from this side, it's pretty quick and it looks awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I think the biggest difference from going to like no support to having champion brick is the amount of maintenance I have done on the bike, or the
Yeah,
washing, the time consuming, just going through everything, getting new parts, and
yeah.
not just using broken ones and making them work.
Yeah,
That's
having
super,
a standard. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and it's super helpful and really cool to be able to do that.
yeah, I think it's awesome. Matt, like I said, he just inspires you to want to live up to that level. And I think that that's really cool. I mean, when I was there at Battle of the Goats, I was trying really hard to have my bike dialed in and have everything like look good and as good as I could get it, you know.
Yeah.
So it was funny. And then John ended up working on my bike for who knows how long. It felt
Uh-huh.
like forever. He was just like, this needs to change on your bike and this needs to change on your bike. And I was like, oh my God. Here I was thinking that like I was good.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But there's always more to learn with this stuff. So
For
um
sure. Yeah.
and I'm it's just me. I'm on my own a lot. So when people tell me stuff like that, I try and remember everything, what it is that we're doing, because inevitably I'm going to crash and I'm going to mess something up and I'm going to have to redo it. So,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so you guys just had the whole Keystone Challenge weekend. How did that go? Walk us through each race, kind of like the highlights.
Yeah. So Saturday
Mhm.
qualifier was like 9 a.m., I think.
Yeah,
It was trying to remember. Um
that much of a blur, huh?
yeah, there's a lot of things that happened. But Saturday, I think it went really well for me. That was actually the first time that I beat John in a race. It kind of suited me more. It was more fast, open stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started off, me and John were on the same row. And then early on, I was just trying to make some passes and passed him and passed another kid that was on my row. And I just kind of checked out. And then uh, about like 3/4 of the way through, I want to say, I jumped up this hill. And when I landed directly on a rock with my left foot peg and just snapped it right off. And
Ooh.
so I had to finish the rest of the qualifier with that, with no foot peg. And I think that kind of made my time a little worse, but it didn't really matter. I was still happy with where I finished. I think I was seventh in A and then like
Uh-huh.
30th or something overall for that
Nice.
race. And then, yeah, so I felt pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. I had a good race, other than the foot peg. But then Sunday, um, we got through, I got through like all the way through 409 really well. I was making passes and I was feeling great. And then I remember I was following this guy along for a little bit. I wasn't trying to get around him or anything, but he ends up letting me around. And there's at Tough Lake Roar, there's these you ride single track along like the side of a cliff, like just a big rock face on your left, and then on the right there's like this big goalie thing with a whole bunch of leaves in it. And my front end just washed down in there, and I think I got stuck down in there for like 10 or 15 minutes just trying to get out because it was so
Oh no.
slick. And so that put a little damper on me. And when I finally got out of there, I was just trying to push really hard to get back to where I was.
Yeah.
And then I think finally, after I finished the first lap, I caught back up to Drew Kirby, which is a great like milestone for me. Good point to look forward to in a race. I'd caught him
Yeah.
earlier on, but then I lost him once I went in that hole. But it was at the top of Stairway, I think it's called. There, there was supposed to be a split, so you go to like to the lap 2, the harder
Yeah.
stuff, and at the finish line they put, or when I went through check or scoring for lap 1, they put a green sticker on my front number plate to like signal I was supposed to go to lap 2. But then when
Yeah.
I got there, it must have fallen off, and so I ended up doing lap 1 twice
Oh
at that race.
no.
Yeah, which I don't really know how much of a difference it would have made, because I know
Yeah.
John said him and like Creed spent 2 hours trying to get to the next checkpoint after the one I
Yeah.
got to, and they never made it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
That's
unfortunate.
crazy.
hmm
Oh my god.
I think
That's
I still ended up ninth in A and like 30th overall, so it was not bad. I
yeah.
was just not very happy with that. How that ended up going.
Yeah. Unfortunately, stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like at Erzberg, everybody was talking about it, and there's been, I think, 2 or 3 years that the person who should have won got disqualified because of similar instances. So,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and like, can you imagine being on the podium and then being told you actually didn't get it?
Yeah.
Like,
That would
yeah.
be, yeah.
So it's like I understand the frustration, but
Uh-huh.
at least it's happening at this level, you know.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
year we'll see how it goes. But
Uh-huh.
now you know.
Yes.
So
I know. Uh-huh. And then so on Monday at Locked and Loaded, um, it was really hard to get up that next morning. I was really sore and just hurt all over. But
yeah.
I got a pretty good start, and then again, like through the faster technical stuff, I was doing really well. I was hanging right with like the top guys in A class and making
Yeah.
passes and stuff, which felt really good. But then once I got to forget what that, there's just chunky rock section. You just kind of wind in and out this one hill up the like telephone hill or something like that. I don't know what it was called, but through there is where I lost the top guys. I was just, my technical riding right there is not up to their level yet.
Mhm.
And
I think I
then
know which hill you're talking about, and that one's gnarly. Like
yeah,
that is intense going uphill because I think it's one of the ones that I was at last year watching, and I was just like, how? Just
yeah,
how?
it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
Intense.
then yeah, so after I got through that, I was pretty far down in the pack of A class, I believe. And then I just was trying to finish a lap at least, and I think I did get a lap and a check before I timed out
Nice.
there. So yeah,
How did you feel at the end of the day of that? That's a lot of racing in one weekend.
actually, I felt better at the end of Locked and Loaded than I did at the tough Battle of the Goats. The day
Really?
before. Yeah, I didn't cramp at all at Locked and Loaded, and then I felt great. I have this orange juice mixture that my mom makes for me. Um,
Yeah.
it's orange juice, a little bit of cream of tartar, and a whole bunch of salt.
Interesting.
It tastes terrible, but it's really good, and I don't know, it just makes me not cramp at all. It's great.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so
Well,
take a little bit of that before the race.
I don't know if I'm gonna try that one. I usually am like, oh yeah, I'll try it, but that one sounds kind of
Yeah, it's not good. but it works.
Well, as long as it works. I mean, I
Yeah,
know some people just like eat like mustard packets.
I
Some
s-
people drink pickle juice. Like everybody has something different. So
yeah. At Tough Like Roar, there was one check where they were grilling hamburgers and having hot dogs or something out there, and I came up
uh,
to there. I like right at the end of the race, I had 2 minutes left. One of the guys was telling me that somebody came through and just took the mustard and just squeezed it in their mouth, just straight mustard. I was like, oh, I've never heard of that before.
I've seen people just down mustard packets, and it's just so weird. I was at a run, and I was like, dude, we're only running 3 miles. Like it's not that serious. But yeah, everybody's different, like I said.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's that's crazy. All right. Well, we'll include the recipe for that down the bottom, and people can comment if they try it and
Yeah, I think
say if
it's
they like it.
teaspoon of cream of tartar and a teaspoon of salt or something like that. You can kind of mix the not the ingredients, like the serving size up a little bit to however salty you want it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Very, very interesting. I learned something new today. I try and
yeah.
learn something new every day. So,
Uh-huh.
ooh. So then what is the next race for you?
Um,
Is it something local or is it TKO?
yeah, it'll be local, I think.
Okay.
June, I think it's June 29th. So in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
there's one. It's like I'd call it my home track, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, it's like 45 minutes away from me, and it's
Nice.
my dad's buddy, like best friend owns that property. So we go ride there quite often,
Yeah.
and they're having a race there in 2 weekends. So I think we'll do that one, or I will. I
That'll be
don't.
fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one.
And then will you have anything between then and TKO or just training?
Um, that's a good question. I think it's mostly just training, going out and riding. Um, there might be a couple more local ones that I hit here and there,
Nice.
but yeah.
That's cool. So, what does training look like for you as far as anything off the bike, or is it all on the bike?
Um, for off the bike, I like to play soccer actually. I do a
Oh,
lot of running with that. I think it's great for cardio, helps my breathing.
yeah.
And I just found this like local soccer league up in Iowa City, so it's like 30 minutes from my house,
Mhm.
and they have it's kind of like pickup. It's just pickup soccer. You can go there. They have it every night at 5:30 to like 9. So stay as long as I want.
Wow,
Yeah, it's a
that's
really good
great.
workout. Yeah, so I do that probably once or twice a week. And then
Nice.
on the bike, I try to also ride probably twice a week, once a week, as much as I can, and then weekends, obviously. But
Nice.
yeah, I would like to get out east more, go hit the
Mhm.
harder stuff, but because I don't have much of that here.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first talked to the Brady camps and they told me they're from Iowa, and they were like, "Yeah, we do hard enduro," and I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, Iowa and hard enduro are not two things that I thought would be in the same sentence.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
there's not a whole lot of it out there, but
Yeah. So
there
there's
is some in Minnesota now. So I
really.
don't know if you saw that. So Meadow Valley, which is in Millville, Minnesota, so it's probably
Hmm.
a good few hours from you. They just opened a hard enduro section that they have out there. So they've got like it literally just opened like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
So they just posted about it. Yeah. So I'm really excited about it. I've never actually been to Meadow Valley,
Yeah.
but I've heard a lot of really good things about it. And so I've heard that this section is pretty good. So
Huh. And that's just like
yeah.
open to the public kind of thing, like day pass type
It's
thing.
like yeah, day pass, yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Hmm. I might have to
definitely.
check that out.
Yeah, check it out one weekend when you're out there. So
Yeah.
I know I was like, oh man, I've got to get back and like visit. I haven't been back to Minnesota in over a year. And so I was like, I got to go see, family, friends, whatever. And then I was like, oh, now I'm going to have to bring the bike too.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. I think end of July I'll be going up to Minnesota to do a little vacation thing. My girlfriend
oh,
has
yeah.
a lake house, so I'll go up there and maybe I'll just take off early and go ride that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, other than that, I don't really know of a whole lot of hard enduro other than I know there's a pretty cool stuff up in Duluth, Minnesota, up by there, but that's still quite a ways away. You might actually be closer to go to the East Coast.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever been to
But
Minnesota.
really, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well, Duluth is gorgeous. So,
Uh-huh.
take your bike, take your girlfriend. You guys could have plenty to do out there.
Yeah.
See the lake and everything, and then go out and ride Auger Grade. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So, let me know if you do it. I'll hook you up with some people who could show you the trails. So,
Sounds good. I will
know a
keep
few
in
people
mind.
out there. Yeah. Other than that, there is also, and I told your dad about this yesterday. There's a race in August. I think it's the weekend after TKO. So I don't know if you guys will be able to do it, but
Mhm.
if you could get to North Dakota, there is a race called the Schmedium Enduro. North Dakota also does not really have hard enduro.
Mhm.
But Dylan has this really great property, and pretty much when trees fall in the woods, he just leaves them there. So I went last year to this race, and it was the worst time of my life, but also the best. It
Yeah.
was like my first little introduction to anything harder. But everything that I rode was single track, off camber, downhill, like switchbacks. And
Mhm.
then at the bottom of the switchback downhill is a log. And I was like, this is everything I'm terrible at. And
Yes.
then it rained the entire night before. I have really good luck with rain in races. Um, so it rained the entire night before, and it is also clay out there. So I was like, this is great. I
Yeah.
absolutely love this. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think you guys would have a lot of fun out there if you got to go. Dylan makes a really, really epic enduro cross section for it. Like last year, one of the logs was about 5 feet. So
Oh boy.
yeah,
That
it was pretty
that'd be
cool.
cool. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I
have to
think you
hit
guys
that.
could have a lot of fun with that. So I don't know what your plans are after TKO, but if you want to go, you could
Yeah.
have fun. So
Yeah. Cool.
trying to get more people out there to kind of grow all of that. That's just what I do. I want hard enduro to grow, and if we could grow this race, maybe Dylan could get the funding to make it even harder, and
Mhm.
just keep going with that. So I just I don't really know what it takes to grow hard enduro. If you have
Yeah.
any suggestions, let me know. But I'm doing the best I can, just promote things.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. I think
and
that's probably the way to
like
go.
yeah, because I even told Cody Webb about that race, and he was like actually interested. So he's got this old Yamaha. It's like 25 years old, and I don't know what it is. He just bought it not too long ago. I don't know if you saw his post on it,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah.
his plan is to race that bike at like different local events. So when I told him about the Schmedium Enduro, he's like, "Oh, are they going to run that race again this year?" I said, "Yeah." I told him about it, and he's like, "Oh," he goes, maybe I'll take my little bike and I'll go out there." And I was like, "Oh my god, can you even imagine? Like people would freak
Uh-huh.
out."
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the same. He wants to grow it, and Cody has fun just going out and doing stuff like that.
Oh.
So
Uh-huh.
I think it'd be really awesome to see some of the hard enduro guys out there. Just see how they do.
Mm-hmm.
Be cool.
Yeah.
So outside of that, if you could travel anywhere in the world, either to race or just to ride, where would you want to go?
Ooh. Um.
This is the good question. This is the one everybody's always like, ooh, oh no.
Um. I'd like to go to either Spain and do like that Graham camp thing with Jarvis.
Yeah,
Um. Or when my sister was out in New Zealand, there looked like some really cool stuff down there. And I
yeah.
watched a couple YouTube videos while she was down there just to see what they had for hard enduro stuff. And they actually have a couple races that would fall under like the hard scramble category, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that looked like really cool riding out there. And then that the Jarvis Signature Tours, or I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
Those look really cool to do as well. Just go
Yeah.
live with Graham and ride his motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually I just met one of the guys who runs the tours, some of the tours out there, at Erzberg, and it was really
Cool.
cool. So he was telling me about it, and he's like, "You've got to come out." I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
But they have everything out there. So he said that they could tailor from like easy stuff to all the way to stuff that Graham trains on. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely epic out there. So
Mhm.
I've been told that it's some of the best riding in the world. So that's a really great choice.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And if you ever get out towards New Zealand, I don't know that I know anyone in New Zealand, but I do know people in Tasmania and on the mainland of Australia. So if you're out there, I can definitely get you hard enduro out there.
Yeah. I have always wanted to go to Australia just to go.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be
Yeah,
really
me
cool.
too. I have a terrible fear of spiders, but I still want to go to Australia. So I don't really know how that works, but it's
Yeah.
gonna happen one day.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's a good goal.
But yeah, there's tons of hard enduro out there. And on Tasmania, like the stuff that I've seen from my friends is just like epic. But it's kind of like being more in a rainforest, but then it's very similar to like brushy, like the kind of obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, it just looks super epic out there. I want
Yeah.
to go everywhere. So
Uh-huh. Yeah. Would you
yeah,
like to go to Hawaii for the hard enduro?
what was that?
Have you been to, did you go to the Hawaii round?
No, I didn't get to it this year because I was unemployed at the time, so I didn't have money to go out there.
Uh-huh.
But I've talked to Melee about coming out. Hopefully this fall or winter I'll be going out, and I'm gonna get my butt kicked. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard out there, but I mean that's why there's such good riders.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
They're riding some absolutely insane terrain. Mila was telling me about some of it, and when she did my track walk with me at Battle of the Goats, and she's like, we're on the single track area, and she's like, this is so huge. And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, the trees are so far away here. She goes, in Hawaii, she goes, the trees are like touching your bars all the time.
Mhm.
She goes, there's barely enough space. Sometimes you have to turn your bars to get through. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There was a word for it, but I don't remember what the word was. But yeah, it was super funny. She's like, this is whatever. And I was like, what does that mean? She goes, this is basically like your Sunday trail ride. She goes, this is easy. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. They don't know anything different. They just ride the hard stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely insane, but it's really, really cool. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to go to that one. I want to ride out there, but I don't want to race out there. I just want to ride out there.
Yeah.
I feel like racing out there would be very frustrating.
Hmm.
But
I agree.
so I have a question for you, and I actually haven't asked this question to anybody before. So you'll be the first one. You are in a relationship, and you guys have been together for a decent amount of time, right?
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you guys navigate that with the level of racing that you're at? Because everybody that I know at higher levels of racing says relationships are almost impossible because you just have to train so much, and it's just like it's hard to find people who understand. But I was just curious.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. My girlfriend, she does like competitive dance.
Oh yeah.
So that's like all the time for her. I think she has like a month or two off. She's still in high school. So she's on the high school dance team, and
Mhm.
she's on like her own competitive dance team, like studio, and they
Yeah.
have practice every night and then competitions on the weekend. So she
Wow.
kind of like understands the training aspect of it and like always traveling for it because she's always gone on the
Yeah.
weekends. But yeah, I'd say, and then just being able to hang out whenever we can, even if it's for a little bit, just to see
Yeah.
each other. But she actually came to the Keystone Challenge with us this year, which was really cool. It was a lot of
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
And how does it feel for you to have her there? Because she hasn't really been able to be at most of the races, right?
I think she's been to a couple, and then that was the first hard enduro that she went to, and then she's came to a couple local stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really nice to have her there. She's, I don't know, just I feel like I do better. But yeah.
That's good. And that's kind of what I was wondering is like, is it more motivating to have her like physically there,
Yes.
see her at the end of the race and everything? Like,
Uh-huh.
I think
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I would say it's helpful to have her there.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
And she like um after my Saturday race, she made me a quesadilla. She helped me wash my bike, and it was really helpful.
that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. I got to spend time with Radford Chug and his girlfriend Rebecca at
Mhm.
Erzberg, and it's kind of the same thing. She kind of like mothers him a little bit in the fact that she's like, you have to be in bed by 10 o'clock, and you have to, she's making him food, and
Mhm.
Radford is kind of all over all the time.
Yeah.
So he's like over here chatting, and then he's supposed to be over here, and so we're like, hey, you've got to be over at the trials thing right now. And um but that the teamwork that you get, I mean, that was so cool. When he was coming through Carl's diner, she was running up, they were able to quickly communicate super efficiently about what he did and didn't need.
Hmm.
And then just like she was literally running alongside him trying to like, make it as easy as possible for him.
Uh-huh.
But like that kind of dedication I think is really, really cool, seeing the support. And she has her own life, she has her own business and
Hmm.
stuff, so she doesn't go to all of these either. Um but seeing that support and the difference that it made for him, he perked up when he saw her.
Yeah.
I just thought it was the cutest thing. So
Hmm.
um it's just now it's like a curiosity for me if everybody feels that way. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
um all right, so complete transition from that and all the cuteness. Um, if you had to give advice to somebody who is brand new on a dirt bike, so they just got their bike about to start riding, what's your best advice for that person?
Um, I would say don't expect to like best advice.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm just thinking about it.
Oh, okay. You just cut out, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I'd just say go out and ride when you can. Just try to have fun with it. Like it doesn't need to be like training at all for them. Just like go out and enjoy it. It's
Yeah,
great to be on two wheels, just seeing what there is to see out there.
yeah,
And don't try to push yourself too hard right away, I guess. Just take it easy.
yeah.
A couple
I
of my
think so.
friends actually this summer just got dirt bikes. They're getting into it, and I gave them a couple sets of my old gear. I
Yeah,
think I gave them a pair of boots or something like that, but yeah, they were really stoked on that, and they just want to go out and ride.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was I was gonna actually ask you that too, if you still just go out and ride with your friends, or just
yeah,
go out and ride with your brother.
yeah. So Tobin actually just moved back, so we've been able to ride a lot together, or more together here, which is really
Yeah,
cool. Just do little, we like to call them challenge rides, see what one can do, and if the other cannot do it, just try to get
yeah.
the other one to crash.
I liked your guys' video. I don't know where the heck you guys were. It looked like a construction site, but that was really cool. That
Yeah,
looked like a lot of fun.
that's actually at my house where I live.
Yeah.
We're building the barn there, so there's a
Oh,
couple
nice.
cool things to ride on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Um.
imagine you guys look at stuff and you're like, oh, that looks cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. Um. But going back to like going out and riding with friends, last
Yeah.
fall I did that quite often. I'd just get off work at like we'd get off at like 4 or something, and then I'd just meet up with my buddies and we'd just go ride around. Nothing hard, just like ride ditches, try to find cool things. But yeah, we haven't done much of that this summer though. Actually, they're one of them selling their bike, and then the other one wants to buy a street bike.
Oh,
So
geez.
they're kind of getting out of the dirt bikes, but they're all about to graduate and go into college and things like that.
Yeah. Priorities shift a little bit for that.
Yeah.
So, um, so what are you looking at as your goals for, let's just say, the next year? Um, what are your goals? What are your aspirations for your riding or life in general?
Um, like for finishing this year or for like 2026?
Both.
Both. This year I'd like to see a couple top threes towards the end of the season. I think that's very
Okay.
doable, especially in the fall season. Um,
Hmm.
except there's more talk of like Makana and them staying out here for just finishing out the East Coast here. So
Hmm.
that'll be cool, interesting to see how that goes. But
Yeah.
um, goals for next year, I don't really know what's going on next year. I don't know about what's going on with Champion Brick or anything. I haven't really talked
Yeah.
to Matt about that yet, but
Yeah.
I'd like I'd like to do hard enduros still
Mhm.
and keep progressing and training. But yeah,
Maybe get that top spot, the A
maybe.
class.
Yeah,
Just keep beating John. Like,
for sure. I need to. Hmm.
yeah, I think that's a good goal. I think that should be your goal.
Yeah, beat John.
Um, cool. All right. So then jumping back to the question I asked before, um, if you were to give advice to somebody who's new into hard enduro,
Hmm.
what's your best advice for them?
Um, I'd say probably tire selection or like making sure your tire's soft enough. Like
I feel a little
and
bit
having
attacked on this one.
not directed at anyone, but
Uh-huh.
I think I think that makes a big difference, and just having all the protective parts. Like you're gonna break
Yeah.
stuff, but
Mhm.
you want to break the stuff that's less expensive. So
Yeah.
get just when before you go out and race, just buy the expensive protective parts because they actually do
Mhm.
make a difference and help.
Mhm.
But that and tire selection, like even last weekend at my local hair scramble, I had a tire on that I thought was just fine, and then it rained a little bit there. I just slid all over the place. I had no traction, and I couldn't really do much. And
Yeah.
then at the first race this season at Battle of the Goats, Tobin and John both told me to try the Dunlop. I was like, no, I'm fine with the Metzler. It's like it's good. I like it. And then I just couldn't make it up Jarvis Gulch, and
Yeah.
so also just listening to people that have done it longer than you.
The thing that I was told by Tobin at Battle of the Goats was just always listen to John. Like,
yeah,
always.
yes, he knows how to climb hills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's good at that for
Uh-huh.
sure. Yeah, he was like, I don't remember what the first thing was with my bike that he told me was wrong. And then he's like, you should change this. Why is this like this? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that my bike was going to get totally attacked. Like,
Yeah.
But it ended up being really good. The changes that he made on that bike, like the rear tire, of course, but then he made some changes on my clutch lever and stuff, and it actually made a big difference for me. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right, dang it, John is right all the time.
Yes, he does know what he's talking about.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
So it was really awesome to have him there, to have just all of you guys there. You guys were all giving me advice, and that was really awesome. And, my first hard enduro didn't go the way that I wanted it to, but does it ever for anyone? So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm super excited. I'll be at TKO, and so that'll be my next one.
Good. And you'll be racing?
Yep.
Good. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a blast. I'm really excited. A little nervous, but because like you said, it's not that hard, but there's a couple sections that I'm like, I don't know. But
yeah,
I'm gonna try and get up to Northern California to do some hill stuff in the next few weeks here, and hopefully be good with that. So
good. Yeah,
that's something that I've worked on a lot, is hills.
Good.
Hill stuff.
Yes.
Any other advice for TKO?
I don't know about for TKO in general, but do you know if they're doing the straight rhythm downtown this year?
I don't think so, because it's not a world round this year. So I think they only do that on the every other year. And if TKO still will be a world round after, who knows?
Yeah.
Because that was crazy.
My only advice would have been to go to that, because that was really cool to watch the last
Yeah,
time.
it was.
Yeah. But for TKO in general, I think it's really important, the qualifier on, I think, is it Friday night that they do that? And then the first qualifier, I think it's just like a short hot lap type deal. I think that's very important, because especially if you have to go through all the Saturday races, it makes a big difference in your start row, and then you have less bottlenecks. But yeah, just minimum.
If you're at my level, you might become the bottleneck. So
yeah. Well, I make a lot of bottlenecks myself too. So I'm the beginning of them. Yes.
Stay at the front of it, not at the back of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good deal. Well, yeah, it'll be really interesting. So I actually have, I think we're at, I want to say total, we have 10 or 11 women going this year. So yeah, we have quite a few, and 4 or 5 of them are going to be brand new to hard enduro. They're GNCC ladies who are jumping over and trying some hard enduro. So
awesome.
I've been helping coordinate that. So there's going to be hopefully a lot more women around in the future, and I'm really hoping to just keep growing that, and just, it's a huge event, like I said, every other year when everybody comes from overseas, but this is that year in between that I was like, this is great, this will be really good. The ladies can get some really cool riding in. Like I said, I've heard it's not as hard, so it's more doable for a lot of people. So I think it'd be really good, and they're fast, so I think it'll suit them a little bit better.
Yeah, that's cool. I really want to get my sister to do it, but I don't think she'll be around this year for it, at least. Maybe next.
No, It doesn't sound like it, but yeah, I'm kind of hoping. Well, I was really kind of hoping that she would hear about it and then just be like, "Oh well, I'll come out."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But so far, I haven't heard anything about it. So
Yeah. She's got
she went
different
the opposite
priorities.
way.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
went to Idaho.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
But maybe next year. Next
Yeah,
year. But
next year.
yeah. So just trying to keep it growing. Like I said, my personal opinion is that growing women in the sport will help grow it all in general.
Mhm.
So a lot of people tend to want to help women succeed, and the more women who get into it, the more money's going into hard enduro, and it just helps everybody. So
Yeah.
I think it works. Maybe
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. Uh-huh.
um, well, in our last little bit here, this is your time to do any thank yous or shout outs, anything like that.
Yeah. So obviously, shout out Champion Brick and all the work that Matt has put into this team and
Mhm.
just the opportunities to talk to people like you and grow my name, I guess, and get to meet new people. Um, Thank you to Zavarati for the suspension. I've never actually had good suspension. I've always ridden stock stuff or just rebuilt stuff, and it
Mhm.
makes so much of a difference to be able to have that. It just makes me feel like a much better rider as well. And then everyone else, like the titanium guys, twist 428 twisted concepts or something like that. I think that's what it's called. Um, but yeah, those guys, Devin Melkovich and uh, yeah, they're. I've seen them at a couple of races. They're super cool guys. They actually just gave me a titanium bolt kit. I have yet to put it on my race bike, but I'm getting to it. So that's super cool. And then everyone else, like Climb especially, they gave us a bunch of discounts on the gear and a bunch of free gear this year. So that was really cool.
Nice.
And like all the everyone else helps out. My dad, he has done a lot for me this year. We built the van together so we could go racing, and then he just does most of the driving on the way there and back. So that's really cool. Be able to do that with him.
That's great. Having somebody to drive, I can tell you from experience, that's awesome.
Yes. Uh-huh. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much, like I said, for doing this. It was really awesome to talk to you again and kind of hear a little bit more about your story and hear who Tucker is, that other
Yeah.
Miller.
The other Miller, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
I mean, you're definitely making a name for yourself, though. I mean, you're riding really well. Like I said, you're impressing a lot of people. People are noticing you, so I
Hmm.
think it's awesome, and I look forward to seeing where you take it in the next year. So,
Yeah. I'm getting called Tobin less and less.
well, that's good.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.